Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome for today's session. Thank you so much for joining in. We'll immediately start. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yuttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarvadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamsha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So welcome for this Saturday Bhakti Shastri class. We had completed till shloka number 29 last time. We'll be continuing with shloka number 30. So, from 30 onwards, as I told you, that Krishna will now say that intelligence in the three modes of how somebody like intelligence in the mode of goodness, intelligence in the mode of passion, and intelligence in the mode of ignorance. So Krishna says, प्रवृत्तिं च निवृत्तिं च कार्यकार्ये भयाभये बन्धमोक्ष च या वेत्ति बुद्धि सा पार्थ सात्विकी. So he's saying karya akarye. Okay. He's saying that, O son of Pritha, that understanding by which one knows what ought to be done and what ought not to be done, what is to be feared and what is not to be feared, what is binding and what is liberating, is in the mode of goodness. So, because if you see this intelligence in the three modes, why Krishna is describing, because we as human beings, we use intelligence to do certain works. And if one knows what is to be done, what is not to be done, what is to be feared, what is not to be feared, what is binding, what is liberating, then that helps us to do only those type of works, what has to be done, what do's and don'ts are there in every scriptures. So accordingly, we will be able to decide. Now, when he is saying pravrittim cha nivrittim cha, there are actions which are to be done and there are actions which are not to be done, nivrittim cha, or actions which are to be avoided, like drinking, smoking. These are actions which have to be avoided. And pravritti and nivritti, if you see, these two words are in more terms of general inclination. Kisi ki pravritti, his natural inclination is to chant the holy names. His natural inclination is to read the Srimad Bhagavatam or the Bhagavad Gita. His natural inclination is in deity worship. So that's in terms of inclination, उसकी प्रवृत्ति क्या है, right? When we say, no, his pravritti is only like this, what can we do, that way. And then he's saying karya, akarya, bhaya, bhaye. So karya and akarya is more like you can say actions may, like, what work does he do? What actions is he doing? So there are, things specifically which I should be doing, and there are things specifically which I should not be doing. And then he's saying bhaya, abhay. So, what should be feared and what should not be feared? See, fear in the terms is that somebody might ask, why should we fear? Because when we are surrendered to Krishna, but there has to be some healthy fears also, right? And then he's saying that bandham moksham cha. There should be, one has to understand that what is the cause of this bondage. ये बंधन का कारण क्या है, कौन सी actions, which actions will be the cause of my bondage and which actions will be the cause of my liberation. So one has to understand the cause of bondage and what is the cause of liberation also. And as I was telling that, healthy fear means what? That, for example, a child should have fear from fire or from a knife or live electric wire. And on the other hand, we may have fear of certain things which are not even desirable or undesirable, right? So that healthy fear has to be there. But sometimes people fear unnecessary also. That unnecessary fear is also there. Like a child may have fear about going to school, or somebody is having fear of going on spiritual path. Array, if I go on the spiritual path, I'll have to renounce everything, and I'll have to leave my home, and I'll have to be completely immersed in that spiritual path. So unduly fear or unduly recklessness in both are undesirable, right? So then he's saying bandham moksham cha ya vettihi. So sometimes people are not able to, discriminate between uh, feel good actions and long term actions. And what will be the consequences of those actions? Such actions will be binding me as such. So when one understands that these differences, or when somebody understands that um, uh, uh, how properly I should understand these differences, then it is then that is buddhi. With buddhi he understands, with intelligence he understands. And when somebody understands these differences, pravritim cha nivritam, karya akarya, bhay abhay, and bandham moksham, he understands the differences between these all, then he is said to be in the mode of goodness. So and to a very large extent, this sattviki buddhi that is there, what Krishna is mentioning, this sattviki buddhi will come only by studying the scriptures. And studying the scriptures means only that there has to be a transformational study. It's not like that just you read. Sometimes, we really don't intend to read a book just to apply things in our life. You just read, general read you give, right? So reading should be with the intention of transforming ourselves, right? I want to transform myself. I want to, improve myself. So that is called a transformational study, right? So that is actually this buddhi or this intelligence comes only by reading the scriptures. So see, our senses, they perceive the outer world, right? And since these senses compromise a doorway between the inner world and the outer world, right? एक अंदर की दुनिया है, and through the senses only you absorb. Like if I've seen something, or if I've heard something, if I've smelled something, if I've eaten something, this is comprising of my outer world. Now, if this doorway, if this path or doorway, if it is not illumined, then there is destruction. Yeah. Because, for example, there is a pathway and which is completely dark, and you cannot see anything what's ahead. So you definitely will know that I don't know what to do. I'm not able to see this path. But if that doorway is illumined, then there will be no distraction. Otherwise, then there will be distraction. And because of that, because even in the 14th chapter, if you see what we discussed, that that doorway has to have some transition. A change of state is needed to avoid any accidents. No, if you are going on a road and if it is completely dark, that is very likely that there is a big pothole, or there must be a big tree fallen and you might just bang, or you might just drop it. So that is why this doorway is needed to be illumined by the study of scriptures. And if this doorway of senses, between the inner world and the outer world, they're not illumined, then we might take some wrong choices also, or wrong turns also, or we can take some self-destructive decisions also, uh, where Krishna says sarva dwareshu deheshu prakasha upajayate. Sarva dwareshu deheshu, and prakash upajayate. So, uh, uh, Krishna over here is giving us that he's saying that capacity to discriminate we should have. And now he's trying to, and now we are trying to understand that what is the difference between this gyan or knowledge, and what is the difference between this buddhi. Okay, so Krishna has already described gyan, knowledge. We saw knowledge in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance, right? So, Krishna has even described knowledge in the goodness and seeing beyond. Knowledge in the goodness means what? You're seeing beyond matter to spirit. So, from matter, you're trying to go towards the spirit. But over here, when he's saying, okay, when over here he's saying that intelligence in the mode of goodness, right, is described, as knowing that what should be done and what should not be done. If I want to move from matter to spirit, what are those activities which I need to be done? What are needed to be done, and what are not to be done as such, right? So that way, this Satviki Buddhi, as I was mentioning, the Satviki Buddhi comes only by the study of scriptures. Exactly, no, I should not be doing this. I should not be, letting my senses loose. And I should not be letting my senses getting attracted anywhere and everywhere. Right? My senses should be attracted only towards spirituality in that way. Okay, let's go to the next. See what Prabhupada is saying. One who does not know the scriptural direction becomes entangled in the action and reactions of work. Understanding which discriminates by intelligence situated in the mode of goodness. Okay. So ahead he's saying over here is, now what is intelligence in the mode of passion. So he says, Yaya dharmam adharmam karyam eva cha ayathavat prajanati buddhi sa partha rajasi. or son of Pritha. That understanding which cannot distinguish between religion and irreligion, between action that should be done and action that should not be done, is in the mode of passion. So he's saying over here that yaya dharmam adharmam cha. So what is dharma and what is adharma? What are the principles of religion and what is irreligion? And karyam cha akaryam cha. So same word, what should be done and what should not be done. And then he's saying that ayathavat, ayathavat prajananti. Ayathavat means, see, yathavat means what? Uh, Correctly. And ayathavat means what? Uh, Not properly or imperfectly, as Prabhupada has translated over here, right? And prajanati means what? He knows, right? So when one does not understand clearly what is dharma and what is adharma, that kind of incorrect understanding or imperfect understanding is intelligence in the mode of passion. Like, for example, in Ramayana, many people they consider Vibhishan as Bhrita Drohi, or his brother's Drohi, or his brother's you know enemy, or he betrayed Ravana. He's a betrayer of Ravana. But Ravana is betrayer of dharma. What about that? Ravana is a betrayer of dharma. He's a betrayer of truth. He's a betrayer of virtues. And ultimately, all of living beings of God, we have to have that proper reference to understand that who is a traitor and who is not a traitor. So Vibhishan is definitely not a traitor, because ultimately we all are meant to be loyal to the Supreme Lord. So we have to adjust and harmonize all our other loyalties in the light of loyalty to the Supreme Lord, right? So that way, Vibhishan is not a betrayer, right? Because we all are meant to be loyal to the Supreme Lord. And because, see, even if Ravana was, uh, you know, Ravana was, following dharma, or he was following the principles of religion, and if he's following the principle of religion, then he's loyal to the Supreme Lord, then Vibhishan would not have betrayed. Because Vibhishan knew that he is not following dharma and I am following dharma. So my dharma is to be loyal to the Supreme Lord, ultimately. So that's why, in that case, Vibhishan is not a betrayer. So, and Krishna also said that Sarva Dharma Parityaja Mam Ekam Sharanam Raja, when he's saying that in the 18th chapter. So he's saying that ayathavat prajanati. So when one does not know what dharma is, what is not dharma, then that knowledge is in the mode of passion. See, if you see even this Ravan was a Rakshasa, and he was in the mode of passion. In fact, he was in the mode of passion and ignorance both, right? And there are people who are followers of Ravana also, and they consider Ravana to be a very good person, and they consider Vibhishan as a bad person. So, why they consider Vibhishan as bad? Because Vibhishan betrayed Ravana. Okay. So, this is quite, perversities of the value of scriptures. So then he is saying that ayathavat prajanati, one does not understand what is the value of scriptures, or what is to be done, what is not to be done. And now this knowledge, their knowledge is actually a contaminated knowledge. उनका knowledge जो है वो दूषित knowledge है, because they don't know what is to be done, what is not to be done. And because of this, people don't understand that the long term goal of going back home, back to Godhead. And it is not important, for short-term goals. See, my long-term goal kya hai? I want to go to the spiritual world. I want to serve Krishna over there. And I want to go to the spiritual world only to serve Krishna. I don't have any other desire than to serve Krishna, or I don't have any other desire to go back home, back to Godhead, other than serving Krishna over there. Right? My original Swarupa in the spiritual world is service. Jivera Swarupa hai Nityara Krishna Das. So, um, or some people, they like to go, to heavens, or, some people want some more, luxuries in life, all these things. So, uh, so to recognize, this karma kanda more important than bhakti is actually a mistake, because people don't recognize only ultimately that that ultimate reality is going back home, back to Godhead. So he's saying that ayathavat prajanati, because of this, which is a lower principle, is that considering a higher principle, and that which is a higher principle is neglected. So a lower principle is even more important, like going to heaven or doing some karma kandi things, that I do this and I get this. But a higher principle, they don't know, only is going back home, back to Godhead and serving Krishna over there. So in the mode of passion, one thinks matter and material things to be extremely important. Buying a BMW is very important. Buying some, Apple MacBook is very important, or buying iPhone is very important, or building a, big mansion is very important. So they think that this is very extremely important. And then he's saying that, oh, then he's saying that all these things, are in the mode of passion. So when one sees different bodies, they think it represents difference in the souls, right? And in the mode of passion, there is too much of emphasis, because it's too much focus more on the externals. Passion may people will focus more on the external, that okay, what type of a dress has he or she worn, what type of car is he or she coming in, how much bank balance that particular person has. So more stress is there on the externals and not on the internals. In fact, they're not able to see only the internals. That is why when Krishna says that the soul's awareness of spiritual reality and the soul's awareness of Krishna. So all this is not adequate, or they don't have sufficient amount of knowledge of this, and it is incorrect that they have, and that is why he is saying that it is imperfectly ayathavat prajane. They don't know this properly, and that is why these people are in the, their buddhi is in the mode of passion. That is the mode of uh, they cannot distinguish what is spirituality, and they cannot distinguish that what is the real reality. That's how. Okay, let's go to the 32nd. Now, buddhi in the mode of ignorance. अधर्मं धर्मयम् इति य मन्यते तमसावृताः स सर्वार्थान् विपरीतस्तांश्च बुद्धि स पार्थ तामसी. That understanding which considers irreligion to be religion and religion to be irreligion, under the spell of illusion and darkness, and strives always in the wrong direction, O Partha, is in the mode of ignorance. So you see, it is working in the opposite direction always. So when he's saying that adharmam dharmam, adharmam dharmam iti yah. So to consider dharma, adharma to be dharma, and manyate tamasa avritah. The tamasa avrita means somebody who is covered by the mode of ignorance, or somebody who is covered by ignorance. Avrita means covering, right? Such a person, he's saying that is what sarva arthan vipiritan. Sarva arthan vipiritan means such a person goes to things which are opposite, or uh, such a person goes to things opposite to actually what they are. Viparita means opposite. And that means such a person, he considers dharma to be adharma, right? And he considers adharma to be dharma. So that is why he is saying that sarva arthan vipiritanscha. So if you see, in the common way, that people see God to be a very ordinary person. We know Krishna, he's, Gwala and all that. They consider Krishna to be a very ordinary person. And they will consider an ordinary person to be God. Some Baba, some Muni, they will think, ये हमारे लिए भगवान है, ये क्रिकेटर हमारे लिए भगवान है, ये एक्टर हमारे लिए भगवान है. This person is God for me. Like, that way they will, they'll consider ordinary person to be God. So this is buddhi sa partha tamasi. That is, this buddhi is tamasi buddhi, because sometimes people have this tamasi buddhi. Of course, they will not have that tamasi lifestyle, or sometimes people may be having some tamasi lifestyle, like, drinking alcohol and eating non-veg, but they may have some characteristic which may be in goodness. Like some people may have some intellectual brilliance also, or like a researcher, he may have maybe, or a researcher may be like a chain smoker, and he may have a very good intelligence also. But how to understand this is, like, one aspect of the person may be, influenced by one mode, and another aspect of the person may be influenced by some other mode. Okay. So if a person does not want one mode to influence the other mode, right? Or one mode to influence the other aspect, then they can practice spiritual life very seriously. So that they can come to the mode of goodness, and then they can come till the level of the transcendence also. So we don't have to, whitewash people and their good qualities. They have these good qualities should be appreciated. We don't have to say, oh, hey, this person is like this only and that person is like this only. Not like that. So just what is our role is that we just appreciate their good qualities, and whether he's in the mode of goodness, passion, that is none of my business as such. So it doesn't mean that someone is a devotee and they are free from the mode of goodness. Free from passion and ignorance. So we have to free ourselves from the modes by doing devotion. And we will become freed only by steady practice. So we cannot say, oh, he's in the mode of goodness and he's in the mode of passion. We can't just label people like that. Okay. So he's saying that sarva arthan vipiritan tamscha. So see, to be in ignorance is bad. Like, ignorance means what? That not knowing that God exists. That is in the mode of ignorance, and that is bad. To be in ignorance and to claim to be in knowledge is worse. Means what? To be in ignorance. that, to be in ignorance means he does not know only God exists, but he claims to be claims himself to be a very Mahapandit. And that is worse. Like, another example I could give is that we have proven that matter is all that exists. Yeah. And consciousness comes from matter. Now, this is not proven, but to claim that, this is come from that, so then that will be actually, that knowledge is worse. So, to be in ignorance and to claim to be in knowledge, and to claim that knowledge is ignorance, is worst. So, you can say that religion is the opium of the masses, and God is like a psychological, clutch for the weak-minded. Those who are weak-minded, they only, cling on to God that way. Like, Vena or Ravana, uh, they they have done such heinous acts that they were those acts that they had done, they were thinking that we have done a pious act, but actually they were not pious act, because those so-called pious acts will lead them to hell. And sometimes even if somebody, or there's a saying actually, pious to go to hell and sinful to go to heaven. So that way, so if you see in both the cases, okay, Vena or Ravana, a king is a representative of God, and he's not God himself. So in case of Vena, he was thinking, I am God. And but the king's duty is to remind us about God. In case of Vena, when the Brahmanas, cursed, they knew the ultimate welfare of Vena, because the Brahmanas had cursed Vena and that's how he died. So they knew how to correct him also. So when one has a very proper understanding, that when he has a proper understanding, even from ignorance, one can go to transcendence. So if I'm in the mode of goodness, I know that I'm in the mode of goodness. I accept that I'm in the mode of goodness, but I will try to go to the mode of, transcendence or Shuddha Sattva level. And but if he does not have only that proper understanding, then he is saying that all things will go in the wrong direction. Sarva arthan viparitan. Everything will be, be topsy-turvy for him. So one will go down from his position, where he is situated, and then ultimately it will lead to destruction from that particular position. This is what he is saying. So we have understood buddhi or intelligence in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance, right? So what Prabhupada says that intelligence in the mode of ignorance is always working the opposite of the way it should. It accepts religions which are not actually religions and rejects actual religions. Men in ignorance understand a great soul to be a common man and accept a common man to be as a great soul. They think truth to be the untruth and accept untruth as truth. In all activities, they simply take the wrong path, therefore, their intelligence is in the mode of ignorance. Okay. Now, from this shloka onwards, that is the 33rd shloka onwards, Krishna will describe dhriti. Dhriti means determination, right? Sometimes we have determination, oh, I will do it, I will wake up tomorrow and I will do it, So that determination that is there, that's called dhriti. And this dhriti is also in the three modes as such. So, Krishna says that धृत्यायया धार्यते मना प्राणेन्द्रिय क्रियाः योगेन व्याभिचार्येण धृति स पार्थ सात्विकी. O son of Pritha, that determination which is unbreakable, which is sustained with steadfastness by yoga practice, and which thus controls the activities of the mind, life, and senses, is determination in the mode of goodness. So, one is that it is unbreakable, right? Determination which is unbreakable, which is sustained by steadfastness by yoga practice, and which controls the activities of the mind, life, and the senses. There are three aspects over here in the mode of goodness. So when he's saying that dhritiya yaya dharyate, that dhriti or determination by which dharyate means one is accepting, or one sustains, okay, one's perseverance in one's acceptance. So then he's saying that manaha prana indriya kriya yogena avyabhicharena means without any break. So that dhriti by which one keeps the karya or the actions, manaha prana indriya kriya, the senses, the life air, the life air, the mind, and the activities. So one keeps situated in yoga. Yoga means he is connecting himself to the Supreme Lord. So what kind of yoga? Avyabhicharena, unbreakable yoga. That is dhriti in the mode of goodness. So see, dhriti or determination, when I'm saying dhriti means, determination. So dhriti in the mode of goodness means a particular person will recognize himself to be situated properly. One will recognize that one has to be the perceiver to get the results. And that is why saying that yogena avyabhicharena. See, Krishna in the 14th chapter also he has used, right? He says that mam cha yoga avyabhicharena. Bhakti yogana sevate. So when he's saying that avyabhicharena, bhakti yogena, right? So when one practices unbreakable bhakti yoga, okay, then one transcends the mode. So he's practicing, like, see, for example, we also have been practicing from so many years, okay, without any break. Okay, have you taken any break from chanting? Have you taken any break from reading? Have you taken any break from doing some seva, right? So in that way, so when one is practicing this unbreakable bhakti yoga, then he will transcend the modes. And that is, he's talking about how to transcend the modes using bhakti. Now the process is, bhakti is not used to transcend the modes, but the process of bhakti is to take shelter of Krishna, so that even in transcendence one will practice bhakti. And when Krishna says, no, Brahma Bhuta Prasanna Atma na sochati na kankshati, है ना, sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labate param. So Krishna is saying that by practicing this unbreakable bhakti, one will come to the sattva level or transcendence. And then he's saying Brahma Bhuya Kalpate. And Krishna is saying that in Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma also, Krishna is saying that he'll be situated in Brahma Bhuta, but Mad Bhakti Labate Param. One will get that Para Bhakti. So, which means that this avyabhichari bhakti may not be para bhakti. Para means transcendental and pure bhakti or pure devotion. So avyabhicharini means uninterrupted or unbreakable, without any break, right? or you can say faithful to Krishna that way. So when one keeps on practicing faithful bhakti steadily, then by that one can become elevated, right? um, Yogena avyabhicharena. So many people say that, that I chant Hare Krishna. And so when we chant Hare Krishna 1 or 2 rounds, that is not very difficult. But to chant 16 rounds year after year, year after year, right? To several decades, you can say, is not that easy. So to practice yoga means to connect ourselves to spirituality, avyabhicharena. And in this way, uh, that is not too, easy to shake. It requires determination, strong determination, and that is any mode of goodness. See, sometimes some people's determination might be a little weak, right? Or 10 days they might chant and one day they might take a break. Then 10 days or 8 days they might chant, and somebody might say that, I don't feel like chanting today, it's not a good day today. There are mood swings of people as such, and I know such people, they say that 2 3 days I like chanting, but then, one day I take a break, and then again 2 3 days I like chanting. So he's saying that without any break, this yoga practice, and then that particular person controlling these activities of the mind, life, and senses. So the mind is troublesome now over here. If somebody is not chanting, after 2 3 days, he feels that, I don't feel like chanting. I'll do something else better than, chanting for 2 hours. I'll utilize these 2 hours somewhere else. See, if somebody has a problem with chanting, what we do is we try to dig out that what is exactly going on in his mind behind. This is all psychology. Because why is that person not feeling like chanting the highest mantra, the Maha mantra, and that mantra which is going to elevate him, that mantra which is helping him to get rid of so many, anxieties and stresses and everything, and connect to the Supreme Lord. So when you dig out, you come to know that his priorities are very different. So currently, he does not consider that chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra or chanting 16 rounds is my biggest priority in life, my biggest responsibility in life. So that is why on and off people, they chant sometimes they don't chant. Of course, this is a very different subject. We can discuss that some other time. But in toto, then, then they have breaks. And if it is a break, then it is vyabhicharin. Okay. Yoga is a means to understand the Supreme Soul. One who steadily fixed in the Supreme Soul with determination, concentrating one's mind, life, and sensory activity in the Supreme, engages in Krishna consciousness. That sort of determination is a mode of goodness. The word avyavicharena is very significant, for it indicates that that persons who are engaged in Krishna consciousness are never deviated by any other activity, not even karma kanda and jnana kanda also. They'll be engaged only in Krishna conscious activities. Okay, let's go to the next shloka. Determination in the mode of passion. Yaya tu dharma kamartham धृतया धार्यते अर्जुना प्रसंगेन पलाकांक्षी धृति स पार्थ राजसी. But that determination by which one holds to fast to fruitive results in religion, economic development, and sense gratification is of the nature of passion. Okay. So when he's saying that, um, Give me a minute to clean. When he's saying that yayatu dharma kama and kama arthan also. So for the sake of dharma, artha, kama, most people will pursue only these three. You know, they will pursue more of artha and kama, but they don't bother much about dharma, at least in Kali Yuga. And most people who have dharmic inclination, they don't have inclination about moksha. They don't want liberation. They want material prosperity, but they don't want adharma while pursuing some material prosperity. So then he's saying prasangena phalakangshi. So what is everyone's perseverance? It is for the sake of dharma, artha, kama, and that determination is in the mode of passion. So, dharma, I'll do some dharma for artha. And then when I get some artha means money. When I get some artha, then I will do kama, dharma, artha, kama. So for artha, people will do dharma. And when they will get artha, when they will get money, then they will do kama, means engage in sense gratificatory activities. So see, Krishna is talking about passion, not in terms of sinful activities over here. Although sometimes passion is in, terms of some sinful activities, but it is not that everything passionate has to be necessarily in sinful. So, this passion activities are in the frame of dharma, and then they should not be considered sinful. When he's saying that uh, dhritaya dharyate, when he's saying dhritate dharyate means what? That when one accepts for this particular purpose, then prasangena phalakangshi. Prasangena means he has a very, very, strong attachment, and or you can say that somebody is very obsessed for getting that result, desiring some fruitive result from that particular action. So that is why saying that dhriti sa partha rajasi. So that is in the mode of passion. So people will do something like, Shravan mein vrat karenge, 16 somvar karenge, and they will do like, for some material benefit, which they've not got it earlier. So that determination is considered as the mode of passion. Some doing some fastings and all to get some fruitive results as such. So, any person who is always desire of fruitive results in religious or economic activities, whose only desire is sense gratification, whose mind, life, and senses are thus engaged in the mode of passion, phala. So, mode of passion people, when they are determined for some phala, they will do fast and they will climb mountains and they will climb this and that. But that is only for artha and kama. Okay, next let's see dhriti in the mode of ignorance. यया स्वप्नं भयं शोकं विषादं मदेव च न विमुच्यति धुर्मेधा धृति स पार्थ तामसी. And that determination which cannot go beyond dreaming, fearfulness, lamentation, moroseness, and illusion. Such unintelligent discrimination, or son of Pritha, is to be in the mode of darkness. So he's saying that Yaya Swapnam Bhayam Shokam. So Krishna is, giving various characteristics over here. Yaya Swapnam. Swapnam is dreaming. And here Swapnam means actually excessive sleeping. There are different kinds of sleep. And in general, this idea is referring if one is extremely, lazy, then that person, sleeping more than necessary, that is that. And if he sleeps more than necessary, then of course it has its own consequence. See, anything extreme, then it will have its consequences. So he's saying that if it is sleeping more than necessary, then it has its consequences, and the effect is mode of ignorance. So here, dreaming is actually a mentality which is more of a disconnection, you can say, from reality, है ना. आप ड्रीम करते रहते हो कि शेख चिल्ली यू नो विचार करते रहते हो, right? So when a person is excessively lazy or sleepy, that also means that a person is disconnected from the real reality, and that is why he's saying that yaya swapnam bhayam shokam. So swapnam and bhayam. So swapnam means, being too much lazy, bahut sona, or dreaming too much, without doing anything. And bhayam is like, uh, in uh, in the 30th shloka also Krishna said, no, over here, bhaya abhayam cha, karya karya bhaya bhayam cha. So there are certain things which have to be feared and certain things which need not be feared at all. So bhay, I said that it's healthy fear, and healthy fear is there which protects us from doing things which are not desirable at all. Like Krishna mentioned that out of his bhai, the sun comes out, the wind blows, etc. Krishna has said that. But in contrast to that, there are some baseless fears also, bhaya also. You know, as the word fear indicates, that false evidence appearing real. If we look at our life, most of the anxiety we have, they don't matter, even after a short time. Why don't they matter much? Because they are not consequential. If we are constantly fearful, like, we have constant, stress and hypertension, then these are not good for our spiritual life. Unnecessarily, taking tension or stress, is not good. So, bhai is a sign of tamoguna or ignorance. And as devotees, we should be actually warriors and not warriors, right? So, like by Krishna's assistance, we fight. When problems come, we deal with those problems, right? So many problems we've had, but we know that the Supreme Lord is there and He's assisting us in many ways. So that is saying that Yaya Swapnam Bhayam Shokam. Swapna, Bhay, Shoka. These three things. Krishna is largely talking about the things which waste away our mental energy. And so when one indulges in these three things, right, that dhriti is in the mode of ignorance. कि भाई मैं एक्सेसिवली सो रहा हूं, स्वप्न में हूं, मैं एक्सेसिवली फियर में हूं, भय में हूं, एंड मैं एक्सेसिवली लैमेंटेशन में हूं, शोक कर रहा हूं मैं. शोक फॉर थिंग्स, हाय 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 मेरे पास ये नहीं है, हाय 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 मेरे पास वो नहीं है. So these are called excessive shokas. That which you don't have, you are, lamenting for those things. So we are wasting away our mental energy. And when we are indulging in these swapna, bhaya, and shoka, right? So that mode, that that determination is in the mode of ignorance. Now we might wonder that wonder is that any determination requires to be fearful. Determination is required to be courageous, but and what determination is required to be fearful? Actually, everything requires determination. Fear itself is not a very comforting emotion, right? It is a very distracting, devastating emotion. But somehow we hold the fear for a very long time unnecessarily. That is because we are not able to understand that what are the priorities in my life. And if we have some proper understanding that, okay, who am I and what I should be pursuing in life, then small, small things in our life, becomes too important. We think that great dangers are coming only to me, not to anybody else. So that is why saying that yaya swapnam bhayam shokam. So when Krishna is describing about karta, Krishna is described about, sarva dharma paritejya mam ekam sharanam aham tam sarva pape mokshashi ma sucha. When he's saying ma sucha, he's saying that don't lament. So shoka is indicating about a shudra mentality. Sochati iti shudraha. It is sometimes said that sochati, one who laments, is a shudra. So why this shoka is considered to be an undesirable emotion or a tamasic emotion? Because sometimes when passes away, when there is a death in my family, right, and somebody passes away, the relatives of that person, they will stay in shoka or lamentation for days together for the loss of that person. Sometimes it goes on for weeks and months and years and decades, and one thinks that I lost this person. There is no doubt that the loss of a close relative or a family member is very painful. But to keep living in that pain is more painful than, necessary. We have that pain, and when there is love, naturally there is grief, right? Of course, but there is a difference between grieving and lamenting. Lamenting, one never comes out of it. You keep on, I remember I had attended one seminar of coming out of grief by Chaitanya-Charitamrita. And over there, he says that one does not even try to learn to come out from that grief. But uh, 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 it is, if one never tries to learn from it or never tries to grow out of it, it was growing out of grief. So grieving is not bad, but lamenting is undesirable. The determination for that to not come out from that lamenting situation, then that is in the mode of goodness. Life has to go on, definitely, we need to come out of that lamentation. We need to accept uh, that deal, and we need to move forward that I have lost this particular person. Like for example, when we lost my younger brother in 2016, who was just 32 years old. He died of a sudden heart attack. But we came out of that grief very soon. As soon as we heard the words of the spiritual master, immediately my mother, especially the mothers have a lot of affection for their last child, who is the favorite child of the mother. And in any case, you see, if a mother has 11 children, the last child will be the most dearest child to the mother. So immediately we came out from that lamentation, from that grief. So he's saying over here is that uh, he's saying that Vishadam Madam Evacha. Vishada means all that moroseness that is there. Okay, Vishadi Dirga Sutracha, right? So he's saying that Mada means intoxication or illusion, to come out from that. Na vimuchyati durmedaha. Durmeda is like bad intelligence, and Sumeda is good intelligence. So na vimuchyati durmedaha. Dhriti sa partha tamasi, he's saying over here. So that determination which does not give up things, although they are not worth holding it at all. That determination is in the mode of goodness. You keep on holding, शोक को होल्ड करते रहते हो, भय को होल्ड करते रहते हो, आप स्वप्न को होल्ड करते, like for example somebody is sleeping for a very long time, say 12 hours or so, and although others are telling him to give it up, they don't give it up, and they're determined to sleep for 12 hours. So now that determination is the mode of ignorance. And same is with the person who's having addictions. People don't give up addictions so easily. So these 5 characteristics, what Krishna is saying, swapnam, bhayam, shokam, vishadam, and madam, illusion. These 5 characteristics, if someone continues in determination, even when one should be giving up them because they are not desirable, they are undesirable. That determination is in the mode of ignorance. So he's saying, Na vimuchyati durmedha. Krishna has used the strong word, durmedha. Is durmedha. वो unintelligent व्यक्ति है, बुद्धूराम है, like that. So that intelligence is completely misdirected intelligence. So this determination is obstinacy. Obstinacy means what? Obstinacy means what? He's very stubborn, and when it is not guided by the scriptures, so then you do something wrong. He does something wrong, and yet when one does something wrong things, his or it is with the mindset that we possess some mindset which is too gloomy, and these are mindsets which are indicative of the mode of ignorance. Then he's saying that such intelligence is also in the mode of goodness, and it is very difficult to overcome such an intelligence until unless one cultivates very pure devotion. If we try to cultivate Krishna consciousness very seriously, Krishna says that in the 10th chapter, he has said that Dadami Buddhi Yogam Dadami Buddhim Yogam Antam Yenama Upayantite. I will give you the intelligence by which you will come back to me. So even if somebody has such an intelligence, okay, he has this Swapnam, Bhayam, Shokam, Vishadam, Madam, all these 5, if he has, but if he is trying to cultivate Krishna consciousness very seriously, then Krishna is saying that I will give you the intelligence by which you will come to me. I will help you to get rid of Swapnam, Bhayam, Shokam, Vishadam, and Madam. Krishna will definitely help us. Okay, let's go to the next. I hope it's not too very heavy for us. Okay, let's see now from the next shloka onwards. Happiness in 3 modes. Sukham in 3 modes. Sukham in goodness, passion, and ignorance. And if you see, always Krishna will give you the positive connotation, and last will come to the negative connotation as such, right? So Sukham in the mode of goodness. Sukham tvam idam, sorry. Sukham त्वविदानी त्रिविधम शृणु मे भारतवर्षः अभ्यासाद् रमते यत्र दुःखान्तं च निगच्छति. He says, the best of the Bharatas. Now please hear from me about the 3 kinds of happiness by which the conditioned soul enjoys and by which he sometimes comes to the end of all distresses. So, okay, let's see if somebody wants to, see, because now Krishna will describe this 3 modes, happiness in the 3 modes. And then and he will go out and talk about the Vedic program of Karma Yoga. When he is saying that, okay, I have to do Karma Yoga, but Bhagavad Arpit Karma Yoga, how can I do? Bhakti Yoga through Jnana Yoga will help me to transcend from the arena of the modes. Arena of the mode means these three modes and go beyond the mode. So happiness in the three modes, and then he will describe that how this varnashram system also will help me to rise from karma yoga to jnana yoga to bhakti yoga, and that is why varnashram is very important right over here. So we are looking at sukha. So the connection is ultimately whatever action we do, we are aiming for the phala, the fruit of that action. So which is happiness. I need to be happy when I'm doing some activity or action. And happiness in itself can be in the different modes. So happiness and goodness, passion and ignorance. So he's saying that sukham tu idanim trividhim. Trividhim sukha means the three kinds of sukha. And then he's saying shruno me bharata rishabha. And he's saying best of the bharatas. There are three kinds of happiness. Now you please hear from me. And he's saying abhyasat ramate yatra. By practice, sometimes one engages in such happiness. Dukha antam cha nigacchati. So see, dukham antam cha. So sometimes one comes out of the miseries. Dukho ka ant kar leta hai ye vyakti. So dukha plus anta, end of miseries, right? So sukham tvam idam idanim trividhim prunume bharat. So he's saying that now you hear about these three kinds of happiness, and he gives a very generic overview of these three kinds of happiness by telling that abhyasat ramate yatra, that sometimes the living entities, they enjoy this kind of happiness, and sometimes they come out of all the miseries and they attain all the kinds of these sorrows, whatever they have, they end it, dukha anta, dukho ka ant kar lete hain. So see, in the fifth chapter also, if you see, that he talked about material pleasure has a beginning and a end. In 5.22, he had spoken over there. Just give me 1 minute, okay? I'm not getting, ये ही संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुख योन एवते आदि अंतवत कौन्ते न तेषु रमते बुधः. He had spoken about that their material pleasure will have a beginning and material pleasure will have a end also, right? And in the seventh chapter also, he had spoken about that how the results of demigod worship are also, temporary. When he said that antavattu phalam tesham na tadbhavanti alpamedasam devam deva yajo yanti madbhakta yanti mamapi. So he talked about how the fruits of demigod worship is also temporary, right? Now when he is saying antavat phalam tesham tad bhavyatya alpamedasam. Antavat means, temporary or it is ending, right? And then he's saying that that which has an ending also, it is temporary. Whatever, somebody is worshipping the demigods, but all those phala or the fruits that you're getting will be temporary and it will be ham. So Krishna has talked about many things which are temporary. But here, in this particular shloka, he's talking about termination, complete ending of miseries. And how will this misery be terminated? By only practice. Dukham cha antam cha nigacchati. So, if somebody is doing abhyasat ramate yatra, if somebody is doing very steady practice, see, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarty Thakur also gives a very alternate explanation to this. Give me a minute. Yeah. So, he connects the second part of this verse and he says that abhyasat ramate yatra dukhantam cha gacchati. So he connects this with the next verse, that is the 37th verse, right? Which talks about happiness, in the mode of goodness, right? So he says that happiness in the mode of goodness has to be cultivated. Somehow or the other, abhyasad ramate yatra. That actually this happiness does not come automatically. It has to be cultivated by practice, regular practice. And by practice, one has to be delighted in this, right? And then he's saying that dukham antam cha nigachati. So it is not that any and every happiness can bring misery to an end. There may be some temporary relief. Sometimes, when people think about too many problems, then they, go ahead and drink a big bottle of liquor, right? They think that this bottle will find a solution to their problems. But that is, aggravation of that particular problem. Right? बहुत पिएगा पिएगा क्या होगा? Liver खराब हो जाएगा. That दुखम अंतम च गच्छति. So if one truly wants dukha anta or the miseries to end, the only way to do is by going beyond that realm of matter, because as long as one is in the realm of matter, one will encounter two temporary things, and that will only cause him a great suffering as such. So to go beyond that realm of matter, one has to practice. So when one cultivates happiness in the goodness, and after that one goes beyond Shuddha Sattva level, in some way happiness in the mode of goodness and happiness in the mode of Shuddha Sattva level are similar in some way. And these are some way different also. So if you see in the very next verse also, that a more understanding of this abhyasat will be given. Or you can say, how can I, improve, or how can I be productive, or how can, uh, mm, how can I help my mind to cooperate with me, right? How to face some overwhelming problems. All this, will be discussed in this next shloka. He says that yattat tangre visham iva pariname amrutopanam tat sukham satvikam proktam atma buddhi prasadajam. That which is the beginning may just be like poison, but at the end is just like nectar, which awakens oneself to self-realization, is said to be happiness in the mode of goodness. Now, from many times you must have heard happiness in the mode of goodness is poison in the beginning and nectar in the end, right? So what is Prabhupada saying over here? That see, in the pursuit of self-realization, one has to follow many rules and regulations to control the mind and senses and to concentrate the mind on the self. All these procedures are very difficult, bitter like poison. But if one is successful in following the rules and regulations and it comes to transcendental position, he begins to drink the real nectar and he enjoys life. So he's saying over here, Yat tadangre visham ivam. That which is in the beginning tastes like poison, but in the end it is pariname amrutopanam. But in the end it will taste like nectar, right? So then he's saying that tat sukham satvikim proktam. That happiness is in the mode of goodness, sukham. And what is the characteristic of this particular, sukham? It is saying that atma buddhi prasadajam. Buddhi means, when I say buddhi, means actually it is spiritual intelligence. And prasadajam means it is born of, born of satisfaction. So see, when Prabhupada is also translating over here, word to word, as prasadajam, it is born of satisfaction. And in translation, he translated as one which awakens to self-realization. Right? So when one practices spiritual life, by such practices, one moves from material to spirituality, and when this happens, one starts delighting at the spiritual level. And to the extent one is delighted, one is more and more, more and more he is delighted, and he is more situated at the spiritual level. So one becomes more spiritually inclined. So see, one when starts delighting at the spiritual level, to the extent one is delighted, one is more and more situated at the spiritual level. One becomes more spiritually inclined. One's intelligence becomes spiritually, situated. And that is the meaning of Atma Buddhi Prasadajam. That is, his spiritual intelligence that is there is completely fixed. Like, for example, for a child, playing is very natural. But study requires some discipline and some efforts. When the child starts, thinks that, okay, this is the joy of learning, he learns more and more. And in that way, the child starts relishing the higher happiness, And similarly, in goodness also, initially, we may not have that pleasure, But as one starts moving forward, one starts experiencing higher pleasure. That higher pleasure is talked about over here. So I'm chanting, I get some pleasure. I do more chanting tomorrow. I do more chanting, I get more pleasure. I do more chanting, I get more pleasure. And like that, year after year, year after year, year after year, though in the beginning it might be seeming that, oh, it's so difficult to control the mind. It's so when it's austere to wake up early in the morning, and it is poison. But as in when you keep on practicing, it will lead you towards more and more nectar. So then that is why he's saying that pariname amrita upamam. Upamam. Uh, so another example we can just take is like, for example, uh, a doctor is treating a particular patient. Okay. So the result is pariname is more important. No, no, if I'm treating somebody, what result will I get? No, is more important. So the patient might think that, oh, this is a very bitter medicine, and he's told me not to eat this and not to eat that, and it's so very difficult. I love eating ice creams and I love eating chocolates, and this doctor has told me that not to eat this and not to eat that and eat only khichdi. So that doctor's treatment might sound poison, but ultimately you will be cured of your illness, and then later on you can eat whatever ice creams you want. So in Shishtashtangam also, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that Pratipada Purna Aswadam. which means that this Sankirtan movement at every step, Prati Pada, Pada means every step, Purna Swadanam, it is completely nectar. He's not talking about in the beginning, it is poison and later it is nectar. No, he's not talking. He's saying that it is completely nectar. From the beginning to the end, this is of course, in the at a later stage, the various effects of Sankirtan are described. But this is one of the last results. So actually at the spiritual level, the whole process is constant ecstatic. The reciprocation of love, the engagement in service is all profoundly ecstatic. And till we come to the spiritual level, things may not be very ecstatic for us, right? It is a struggle for a sadhaka. As I previously said, chanting might be a very big struggle for us, right? And it is not easy to go to the struggle, but once we come to the siddha level, then there is, pariname amrita. It is complete amrita. Siddha level means what? That you come to your own original constitutional position, that I am the servant of Krishna. To understand that, then it will be amrita. So Srila Rupa Goswami also, the famous example Srila Rupa Goswami is mentioning that for a jaundice patient, cannot taste the sweetness of sugarcane. And similarly, now we cannot taste that sweetness of Krishna or the holy name, Krishna Nam. But as we become purified, we will be able to taste that sweetness of the holy name and Krishna. The nature of poison in the beginning and the nectar in the end, it is applying to one who is in goodness as well as one who is in the Shuddha Sattva level, pure goodness. So as a sadhaka, we should not be always in pleasure searching mentality. If at all we have to be in searching mentality, it has to be in service searching mentality. From pleasure searching mentality, we move towards service searching mentality. That how can I serve Krishna? How can I, do my best tomorrow to chant? How can I do best to read? How can I do best to, cook for the Lord or do deity dressing for the Lord? So in some way or the other, we can always serve. At least we can chant or remember Krishna internally that way. That is why saying that pariname amrita upam. So one should be looking for pariname amrit. For example, should be looking for, you can say nectar means only ruchi or a taste. And at this stage, we are giving pleasure to Krishna through our services. And when we do that naturally, we will get pleasure. Like recently we had a Chandan Yatra, and of course, Chandan Yatra is still continuing. I'll tell you. Just give me 1 minute. So in Pune, for these 21 days, we take a theme, either from the Srimad-bhagavatam or from the Bhagavad Gita or from the Chaitanya-Charitamrita. So this year we said that let's take a theme for Chaitanya-Charitamrita. And different pastimes are Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like the Mahaprakash Leela or the Rath Yatra or something like that. So we had taken this topic of Shivananda Sen and that puppy dog. And we portrayed it very nicely. Now in that, of course, I have a group of, people whom I counsel on a regular basis. And they come and they do nice services. They take some guidance from me as such. So in our group, we have different people who are interested, who are not interested. So there was this one girl who was initially definitely interested, but what happens is she gets lost. She gets just spaced out as such. So then I told her that, see, we might not have taste in this particular seva. Or even myself, okay, I'm not a very creative person at all. Okay. I might be good at something and I not be good at creativity. So I'm not very creative person at all. I can guide towards creativity, but if you tell me to do something creative on my own, to create something, I'm not that creative as such. So, uh, and there were some girls who were really extremely par level good girls, they were very creative. Cut. Within a day, they prepared that, from that fur they bought, and they bought some, they made that puppy dog as such, and very nicely they made it. And some girls, they made the flooring and everything nice as such. And there was this girl who was not at all. So then I told her, see, sometimes some things may not be very pleasing to us. कुछ कष्ट लगेगा ही, कुछ मेहनत जरूर लगेगी, but the end result will be very good. The end result will be to please Krishna. And if you do it with that attitude, that I am doing this activity to please Krishna, then you will see that you will not space out. Because while doing some activity, she did one particular thing. She left that incomplete. Then she picked up another. Then she left that incomplete. Then she picked up another. She left it incomplete. Then I was seeing this, Then I told her, I called her up and I said, see, if you do it for the pleasure of Krishna, Krishna will do Dadami Buddhi Yogam. And end to end, you pick up a particular service. If you have started with this service, then you end it also. And final product. And then you see that one product, when you make, one thing that you make completely will be so satisfying. Like that half you're doing, definitely will give you benefit, but it will not give you happiness. So sometimes when we are doing sevas, like it might not be very pleasing seva, but let us see that how can I give pleasure to Krishna? And because currently what we are thinking while we are doing seva, that okay, what will give me pleasure? So I'm in pleasure searching mentality, right? So what is going to give me pleasure, I will do that only activity. But no, if I'm in the mode of service searching mentality, that okay, which service should I take up? Okay, let me take up this seva. Okay, whatever seva has been given to me, let me complete that nicely. Then, or how can I serve Krishna the best? So this is called service searching mentality. And that's how we can make Krishna our inner world. Always searching for service. Through that, we can make Krishna our inner world. Like we took up that activity, and for almost a week, we were in that same consciousness. That okay, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will be sitting like this over here, and then there will be, the devotees who will be there. Then they'll be eating. Then Shivanand Sen is bowing down to the Lord. That puppy dog also, how he got liberated. That pastime in itself is also so liberating. That Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not discriminate between high, low, animal, tree, whatever it is. Indiscriminately, when means Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving love of Godhead. And when he's giving love of Godhead, he's not discriminating, "Oh, I'll give only to humans and I'll give only to devotees." No, that puppy dog was so attached to the devotee, just seeing that attachment towards the devotee, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu liberated that puppy dog. So, in that way, Pariname, when I'm saying Amrita, I should be looking for Ruchi, I should be looking for that taste that, I want to give pleasure to Krishna through my service. And when I want to give pleasure to Krishna through my service, then naturally I will also get pleasure. It's not like that Krishna is a reciprocal God. He is not a, God who is going to keep that service only to himself. Okay, yeah, you serve me very good. Thank you very much. No, he's going to yayathama prapadyante tam tateksha bhajamyaham. To the degree that I want to give pleasure to Krishna, to that same degree, Krishna also wants to give me pleasure. Right? So that way. Okay, let's go to the next shloka. So then, Sukham in the mode of passion. If you see your Subodhini is like a radar for me, I don't get spaced out. That's why I always have the Subodhini in front of me. He's saying, Sukham in the mode of passion. He's saying that Vishendriya Samayoga Yattat Angre Amritopanam Mam Pariname Visham Evam Tat Sukham Rajasam Samritam. So he says that happiness which is derived from contact with the senses with their objects and appears like nectar at first but poison in the end is said to be the nature of passion. So happiness in the mode of passion is nectar in the beginning and poison at the end. This is what he's trying to say. So when he's saying that Vishay Indriya Samayogat, so when there is contact between the senses and the sense object, and by this Samayog means combination of these two, that contact, what happens? Yat tad angre, yat tad angre amrita upamam. So he's saying that there is amrita, there is a nectar in the beginning, and what is the parinam? Parinam is visham or visha, poison at the end. So tat sukham rajasam. This is happiness in the mode of passion. So see, Krishna in the 14th chapter also he had said, right? Rajastu phalam dukham. The result of Rajagun is phalam. What is the phalam? It is dukham only. So Krishna has made it very clear. The contact of the senses with the sense object, right? Because most of the sense enjoyment is going to bind us to the bodily conception, right? We cannot switch on and off. Then a bodily conception. Either we are in bodily conception or we are not in bodily conception. Then the trouble is, the trouble is in the terms of birth, death, old age, and disease. And these three types of miseries will then keep on coming up, right? So, sense enjoyment will bind us. It will bind us into the cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease. So, this type of pleasure has to be considered, and it has to be considered within the boundary of the dharma and practice of the dharma. So, the practice of dharma gives us a realization and it enables us slowly to experience a higher happiness. And then the appeal of lower pleasure will subside down. Eventually, one will become free from all those allurement of all those pleasures that are there as such. So then he's saying that, see, a young man and a young woman meet and the senses drive the young man to see her, to touch her and to have sexual intercourse. In the beginning, this may be very pleasing to the senses, but at the end, after some time, it becomes like a poison. They are separated, there is divorce, there is lamentation, there is sorrow. Such happiness is always in the mode of passion. Amrita, nectar in the beginning, poison at the end, right? Happiness derived from a combination of the senses and the sense objects is always a cause of distress and should be avoided by all means. So see, sense and sense objects. You take a particular person who's drinking liquor, okay? So he sees a liquor ad and then, his senses want to drive. But then when he's drinking, he might think that, oh, it is very nice and, it's making me high and all that. But ultimately, then, his liver is at a stake. Then, we have seen so many families being devastated when people take too much of liquor or too much of smoking, too much of gambling, too much of extramarital affairs, sexual intercourses as such. These are all nectarine in the beginning and poison at the end. But when Krishna is saying that, we should strive for, as I told, that instead of serving my senses, I should strive to uh, try to serve the senses of Krishna, because he is Rishikena Rishikesha Sevaya. He is the master of the senses. Now, when you try to serve the senses of the master of senses, Krishna, then in turn, what happens is these senses, which are looking out for sense objects outside the purview of spirituality, these will be, satisfied. Because these senses are always hungry. And that is why they're looking for sense objects. But the moment we try to serve Krishna and we serve Krishna, try to give him pleasure, then these senses will stop looking for sense objects. Because now we have an object, we have Krishna, and we are trying to serve his senses, then automatically the other sense objects will become very pale and distasteful to us. And we'll try to only serve Krishna's senses. So in that sense, these combination of sense and sense objects. So I have my senses and Krishna has his senses. And my senses are trying to look out for sense objects. And the best sense object is Krishna. Try to serve him. And when I try to serve him, his senses, through my senses, then only I will get happiness. Otherwise, I will always be in distress. Okay. Let's go to the next. Oh, Sukham in the mode of ignorance. This might be very deadly. Yad yad yadgre cha nu bandhe cha sukham mohanatmanah nindralasya pramadottam tattamasam mudaritam. And that happiness which is blind to self-realization, which is delusion from beginning to the end, which arises from sleep, laziness, and illusion, is said to be in the mode of ignorance. When he is saying this, yat agre cha anubandhe cha, from the beginning to the end, है ना? It refers to the end from agre and beginning to the end. Right. Sukham mohanam atmanah. See, mohanam is used continuously if you see for mode of ignorance. In the 14th chapter, we saw that everywhere mohanam is in the mode of goodness. And Krishna is using it every time. So it completely puts the soul in illusion. And Krishna gives 3 specific activities that comprise the pleasure in the mode of ignorance. He says that, and even previously also he said that Nidra, Alasya and Pramada. Now, see, somebody might say, oh, sleep is very necessary, for the body. It is a necessary function for the body. But Krishna, even in the 6th chapter, he said, Yukta Ahara Viharasya Yukta Chetasa Karmashu. Right? And even in the, see, this was 6.17. And 6.16, what he said that, Nati Asnatu Yoga Hai. Wait a minute, I just forget that shloka. Let me just go back to that. So he says over there that 6.16, no? युक्त आहार विहारस्य युक्त चेतस कर्मस्य युक्त स्वप्न बोधस्य yogo bhavati dukkha. He says that he who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. And let's see what he's saying in 16. नात्याश्नस्तु योगोस्ति न चैकांतम आश्नतः न चाति स्वप्नशीलस्य जाग्रतो नैव च अर्जुन. There is no possibility of once becoming a yogi if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough. So he's saying over here that there is no possibility. So in these two shlokas, the 16th shloka and the 17th shloka, it is said that if one sleeps too much or sleeps too little, he cannot become a yogi. And on the other hand, if one is regulated in sleeping and his bodily activities, then by the practice of yoga, one can become free from miseries, right? So Krishna is saying that sleep is essentially a bodily function and it has to be regulated. 7 hours of sleep, 6 hours of sleep, right? But here Krishna is not talking about nidra. He's not talking about he's talking about sukham, right? So when one sleeps for the pleasure of sleeping, actually sleep is like a bodily biological function and that is required. But when one sleeps as an escape way from the problems of life, you must have realized that somebody has some problem and he sleeps. Arey jane do, bhul jao, so jao. He sleeps. And sometimes material nature also, makes us realize that how much we are helpless. No solutions are working and we are not even getting sleep also. And sometimes some people don't get sleep 1 hour, 1, 2, 3, 4. At 4 o'clock, that person starts getting sleep now. So, and some people are so sukhi that you put that person to bed within 10 seconds, he goes off to sleep. So he's saying that pramada uttam tat tamasam. Pramada is intoxication and or illusion also, right? So pramad can come in various ways. So for example, one literal example which we can think of is like drinking. When a person drinks, then it is agre. He's beginning to end, it is misery only, right? And the more he's drinking, then the more he is actually, becomes bound in that intoxication. So, or another example of pramad will be that TV, okay, television. And with television, what happens when somebody sees those television programs or ads or something like that, it is triggering lust, anger, and greed within us or that particular person. And in general, the activities shown on television is either rajasic or tamasic, in the mode of goodness or in the mode of passion or ignorance. Just a second. So in short, these advertisements are affecting the people's mind, and it depends on how long that particular program is going. So how long the programs on lust, anger, greed are going to affect them also. I remember some TV serials, they have some longer hours also. Long hours also and longer years also. So, that is why television makes people dull and lull also. Means literally they are intellectually passive and physically inactive. So television really makes somebody very dull. Why? Because that particular television program is controlling my mind. I'm not in my own control. That program is controlling my mind, and that is why my mind is sitting in one place. And while I'm seeing that program, right, so many, uh, there is lust, there is anger also. Somebody becomes angry when we become angry. There is greed also, right? So, what happens is I pursue in my life that will be enabled to either rise or to go down in my life. If I'm chasing happiness in the mode of ignorance, and there may be some happiness, but overall my consciousness or my life or uh, my post life destination will go down. And if I choose happiness in goodness, then I practice to make spiritual advancement, then gradually, that will be an unending happiness. But over here, as it's said over here, that this happiness from the beginning to the end, it is putting me, in delusion from the beginning to the end. And I'm blind to self-realization. And that is why too much of sleep, too much of laziness and illusion or intoxication is in the mode of ignorance. Okay. Now in this 40th shloka, Krishna is going to actually summarize everything what is spoken. Means Krishna is going to summarize what is the influence of the modes, right? Na tadasti prithvi, sorry, पृथ्व्या वा पृथ्वीव्यां वा विद्वेषु वा पुनः सत्वं प्रकृति जैर्मुक्तम यद एभि स्यात् त्रिभिर्गुणैः. So what is the nature? There is no being existence either here or among the demigods in the high planet system which is freed from these three modes, born of the material nature. So see, here the analysis, what he's saying that analysis of the three modes ending, and from here Krishna starts talking about how to raise myself from karma yoga through the varnashram system. Okay. And through varnashram system, through Gyan yoga, and ultimately to bhakti yoga. Krishna is going to take us from the lowest to the highest. So uh, this chapter started when Arjuna is asking the question, which is effective, same, that what is better? Is action better or renunciation is better? So here he is refraining it as, can you explain me what is tyaga, what is sannyasa? And that is the starting question which Krishna asked to Arjuna, right? And then he's saying that uh, uh, then Krishna is answering that uh, is that rather than renouncing work, one should work, but with the spirit of renunciation. Work with detachment is what Krishna is saying, right? And how work with detachment will keep me free from the bondage. And that is why Krishna is talking about karma yoga, and then he's talking about jnana yoga. Okay, karma yoga is recommended course. Then Gyan of the karma yoga is talked about. You can say the 5 factors and everything. And then the components of action, Gyan, karma, karta, all that he spoke. And now how this is integrated into the social structure of Varnashram, and how through the social structure of Varnashram, people will gradually elevate themselves is actually, the whole next section's discussion, that is from 41 to 48. That whole section ka description is being given. So he's saying that na tat asti prithvyam va devi deveshu. So, prithvyam va means in this whole earth. So what to speak of earth, even in the heavenly planets, deveshu, among the devatas also. Okay. And he's saying Sattvam Prakriti there Muktam Sattvam. Here it refers to all existence, whatever is there in the material world. And it is born of that Prakriti. All these modes of nature are born of the Prakriti. So there is no being existing on earth or the heaven which is freed from this particular three modes. And if you see, he's saying that anything that is in the lower mode should be rejected. And he's saying that nobody is free or mukta. He's saying over here, muktam yat ebihi. Nobody is mukta or nobody is free from these three modes. Everybody is in the influence of these three modes. So what I will do is, I will halt over here, because from 41st to 48 is a new section. And how can we purify ourselves? By doing our own prescribed duties of Varnashram. And there are 4 Varnas and 4 Ashramas. And how can one perfectly be situated and rise above this also? Like, for example, if a brahmana has to perform sacrifices in which there is animal killing is necessary, a Kshatriya, however, pious he may be, he has to, fight with the enemies, or a Vaishya or a Shudra, and despite these, one continues doing his prescribed duties, and then when he is working, he will actually, purify his existence, right? And once he purifies his existence, then he comes to the Brahmabhuta Prasanatma, platform, the Brahman platform, or he comes to the perfection of sannyas, or he knows how to attain Brahman and all that. So then that will be the very next section. I suppose we should finish in the next 3 sections. So if you see the next section, even if I take 41 to 48, then 49 to 55, 56 to 3 sections, and another 1 section, 4th section. Next 4 classes we should finish. That is, by June mid we should finish. And then we can have examinations in July before Janmashtami, so that we are free for Janmashtami. And then I'll start with Nectar of Devotion. Nectar of Devotion, the word in itself is very, very, what do you say, nectarian. See, for the Hindi class, no, I did not do it elaborately. But I'm planning for the English class to do it very elaborate Nectar of Devotion. We'll dive deep into at least the ending part. What is Raganuga Bhakti? What is Ragatmika Bhakti? What is Vedi Bhakti? These 3 at the ending, I will elaborate a little more, so that we get a very nice broad understanding of where we really want to reach to. And after reaching, what I need to do. And I'll give you live examples also of those who are still current, maybe they are Raganuga Bhaktas and they are Ragatmika Bhaktas also. Okay. So anybody has any questions, queries, doubts, you can please ask me. I'm ready to answer them. Okay, so if nobody has any questions, we'll stop for the day over here.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I do have a question.
Yeah. Tell me.
Mataji, we are reading about all the three gunas again. Like Krishna is summarizing.
Yes.
And when I'm reading it, I'm feeling everything matches with Tamagun with me. So please help me.
Externally, it might seem, but see, we are engaged in Satogun only. In fact, we are engaged more in, see, the chanting activity in itself is on a, Shuddha Sattva level, right? Pure goodness. Okay. My consciousness might not be, in pure goodness, but at least that very activity, the Maha Mantra in itself is in pure goodness. So I'm associating again and again with pure goodness, and one day I will come to pure goodness level. So it is just a matter of time that I will come to the level of pure goodness. Maybe currently I might be, in a mix of Rajo, Sato, and Tamo, but the activity that I'm doing is going to lead me towards pure goodness. And in that way, you are not in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Right? You are, while doing that activity, you are still in pure goodness only. Okay, the mind might be reeling here and there, but activity is pure goodness. The Maha Mantra is in pure goodness. Right? So don't worry. That is your humility that you're saying that I am in the mode of ignorance and passion and all. But whatever service you're doing, for example, you're doing some service in the temple of preaching or distributing books. So you're doing it for whom? The one, you're doing that activity for the one who is in pure goodness. You're doing for the pleasure of your Guru Maharaj. You're doing for the pleasure of Krishna. And both these personalities are in pure goodness. Right? So slowly, we are trying to get rid of our, lower modes, and we're trying to go to the higher modes, which is pure goodness, right? But in toto, what you are trying to achieve is you're at least aiming. Others are not even aiming to go to that pure goodness level, right? There are so many, in your Mayapur, so many people come for darshan, right? Are they attempting to, doing some service? They just come, they take darshan and they go, which is good. I'm not saying that it is bad, but they just come and they go. They're just flying visitors over there. But here is somebody who, like you, who wants to please a person who's in pure goodness, like His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, and you're trying to please Krishna also. So it may seem that externally lag raha hoga ki अरे मैं तमोगुण में हूँ and मैं this, but no, you're trying to serve Guru and Krishna. So in that way, slowly we'll rise above it. Okay.
Yeah, Mataji, because I asked this question because mostly I know like I'm very much in Tamogun. Whatever it is mentioned, it actually matches with me. Sometimes only I will not say that Sattvagun or anything, but I want to come to the level of at least Sattvagun. Because Vishuddha Sattva, I don't know how that is Krishna's mercy or whatever, but at least, for a constant period. Because sometimes Rajogun comes, then again anger comes, Tamogun comes, laziness comes, procrastination comes, and many other things like mental disturbance is also in the mode of
Yes.
tamogun, in the mode of tamogun, that I know I'm not this body, all this philosophy I know, but then still again I get into that clutches again, I try something like to be in Satagun and like hearing Guru Maharaj's class or doing some service for Guru again, back to again passion and ignorance. So mostly I feel like when I'm reading these shlokas like summarizations, like I was feeling that this is more me, and I'm not even in Sattvagun. That's why I asked that, please help me.
Yeah,
What do I do?
that is your humility. And a person should feel himself that no, I am the lower of the lowest. But at the same time, Krishna says, Abhyasastu Kaunteya, regular practice without any break. We need to practice these, our sadhana. We need to practice chanting. We need to practice, and that is why only by regular practice can we actually rise above the modes. Nice. So when I said buddhi or determination, so it is unbreakable. Determination which is unbreakable. And determination is sustained by yoga practice or practice of controlling the mind and the senses as such. So then that will become actually, when it is, when all my practices, yoga practices will be unbreakable. On a daily basis, I might be doing the same activity, but at the end, that's going to give me happiness. Only these activities are going to give me happiness, no other activity. Now, if you have, of course, staying in Mayapur, no, there is no, the consciousness is so pure because Mahaprabhu himself says that every step is a dance and every word is a song. And in that way, because you're staying in Mayapur, your consciousness is very much, in goodness only. Is now only a leap how you will take from goodness to, pure goodness. And gradually that will take some time. Of course, Krishna is not so, cruel that he will not take you to pure goodness because you've sacrificed everything in your life and you're settling in Mayapur. You could have stayed in some Bombay city or Kolkata city or Chennai or Delhi, and you could have done your job and you could have earned crores of rupees, but your choice was to be in Mayapur and serve the Lord and serve your spiritual master, under his direction. So, gradually it will, shape up, and gradually, as you keep on doing practices and a regular practice, that will be possible. Okay.
Okay, Okay, Mataji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Lakshmi Narayan Prabhu, where is Krishna Kripa Mataji? She's not attending classes. Lakshmi Narayan Prabhu, are you there? Okay. So we'll end for the day. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrind ki jai. Hare Krishna, Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.